All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Hopefully, you guys all had a wonderful, restful, and safe winter break. Hopefully, you guys got time to rest and stay away from your computers. I can tell you that I did. For the first 10 days, I did not open my computer. I did not use my tablet for any work related stuff. So, I needed that time to just forget about Zoom, Schoology, emails, all that. But welcome back. All right, so before we get started this semester, just gonna go over some quick stuff. Make sure that you guys know what is expected for the next 2 weeks from you guys. Again, welcome back. So when you guys log on to Schoology, right, the first week you're gonna see that week one folder, kind of like the one I have on the screen right now. That week one folder. When you click on that folder, you're gonna get a drop down menu and you're gonna have several things. Okay, so I'm just going over the example for the first day and then kind of follows along. You've been doing it already. So far, you guys have been doing it. So you're gonna see several things. So today when you logged on, just like always, you need to complete your daily check-in. Again, your daily check-in helps me verify and double check your attendance, especially these next 2 weeks that I am not going to be available because I will be taking care of my newborn. All right. So please make sure you complete your daily check-in. You will see a daily check-in with the date. Complete it on the date that you have class. All right. Then once you complete the daily check-in, you're gonna see two files. I did forget to take a picture of the second one, but the first one you're gonna see a file and it's going to say handout number. Handout number 16, number 17, number 18, number 19, whatever handout we're using. I'm using this image as a reference, as an example. We're not necessarily doing handout 16, we're on handout 18. Okay? Now, that is your handout 18. When you click on handout 18, you're going to get a drop down menu and you're going to see three things there. All right. For the first thing you're going to see, it is going to be the actual handout. The handout, the homework that gives you credit for this assignment. Okay. The second thing you're going to see is a PDF of the notes. All right. A PDF of the notes, and look for the one that says complete, because that basically is just a file with all the notes handwritten. Basically what I'm going to do right now, but instead as a video, it is just a file of paper that has all the notes. Okay. And the third one is actually the notes. The notes that I've uploaded to YouTube, where if you guys are listening to this audio, you basically have access already. Okay. So that is under handout 16 as an example. You're also going to see another assignment and it's going to be titled Notes 16 Independent Practice. And all of these are going to be on Nearpod. Okay? These are just basically extra practice from the notes. It's just so that I can see real life once I'm at home. Even though I'm not in the class with you, I can see how you guys are doing and if I need to modify my notes or anything like that, okay? So you won't get instant feedback on these, all right? But I will be able to track these from my house so I can see how you're doing. I know you guys also are completing the assignments, all right? So I will be checking these, all right? So let's go ahead and get started with the first set of notes. First notes we are going to start off with the steepness of a line. Okay, we're going to start with the steepness of the line. Set up your notebook. All right. If you guys do have a printer at home, I will tell you guys one thing that helps is if you're able to print this image and this image here. Okay. And if you're wondering where do you get it, you download this file and then you print only that page, and I'll show you in the next slide. Okay. Again, since you guys have access, and sorry, since you guys have access to this, you guys can pause the video, and I do apologize. Here's my first mistake. There should be notes 18. Okay, there should be notes 18. All right, so let's go on to the next slide. So a few things, you don't have to copy this in your notebook, but a few things that I want you guys to think about while we're working on these is what makes lines steeper, what makes lines less steep, how is growth related to steepness, and where is the starting value on a line. Okay, the last question will help us for when I return, but always remember, where is the starting value on a line. All right, let's go to the next slide. Okay, this goes in box 1. This is one of those slides that I was telling you can print if you have a printer, and you can put it in box 1. All right, so this goes in box 1. So we're going to be talking about steepness of a line. Okay, so and two things that I want you guys to make sure that you guys are aware when we talk about steepness, right? Steepness, we usually talk about it as change in y over change in x, right? But again, math people, just like Mr. Franco, sometimes tend to be lazy, and we come up with formulas, or we could come up with images or symbols to shorten our work. So instead of writing change in y and change in x, we actually use the triangle y over triangle x. That basically means the same thing as this. Okay, that means change in y over change in x. Notice that on the right hand side of the triangle, it's a little bit darker. All right, that's how you're supposed to distinguish it. Okay, but this statement right here, and I'll circle it in red, basically says change in y over change in x. Okay, so make sure you guys write that down. If you see me referencing that, that's what I'm talking about. All right, when we talk about my change in y, we're talking about this movement up and down, that vertical movement. Okay, so I'll put it right next to it, vertical. When we're talking about my change in x, we're talking about this movement, or this change, which is known as my horizontal change. Right? All right, let's go to the next one. We'll be talking about steepness of a line, and in box 2, we're still referencing the same one. Okay, now the question is asking us here is, what is the vertical distance change in y? Right, earlier on the last slide, I referenced this right here. What is that vertical distance, right? And from here, from this point to this point is just a 2. Okay, that's a plus 2. All right, this is in box 2. That's vertical distance is plus 2. So change in y is equal to plus 2. And the reason I'm saying plus 2 is because we're going from the bottom, we're going up. Okay, now let's go to the next one. We're still in box number 2. Okay, I went to the next slide, but again, we are still in box number 2. Now we're talking about change in x, and that's this movement, side to side. So from left to right, how many spaces do I move? And my change in x happens to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's a plus 4 because I'm going from left to right. Okay, so my change in x is 4, my change in y was 2. All right, so again, we are still in box number 2. We are still in box number 2. Now, The question says, how could you use change in y and change of x to find the slope of this line? Well, believe it or not, and let me write it. You guys already have change in y is equal to plus 2. Change in x is equal to plus 4. My slope, right, because they're asking us to find slope, we usually use a variable or the letter m, by the way. That is equal to change in y over change in x. Okay? That means, what's my change in y for this problem? It is 2. What is my change in x for this problem? That is 4. So my slope is 2 over 4. Now, those of you guys that are saying, wait, can we simplify that? Yes, you can. You can divide both of them by 2. You're simplifying, you're reducing, and that becomes 1 over 2. Guess what? These two are the same. Same answer. Okay? Now, if you're wondering, which one does Mr. Franco want? I would prefer the one that is reduced. But if you didn't reduce it, that is okay. All right? Let's go on to box number 3. This is another one of those that you guys can actually print out and put it in box number 3. Okay, so here we have 3 different slope triangles, right? We are still going to be referencing our slope, which again, we use a variable m is equal to change in y over change in x. Change in y, I'm talking about my vertical up and down movement, and change in x, I'm talking about my movement side to side, right? Keep that in mind because that is very important. Okay, notice that we have 3 triangles and they're different sizes. We have A, B, and C. All right, let's go to box number 3. Box 4 now. Now it says find the slope using slope triangles, A and B. What do you notice? So look at slope triangle A. We're going to start off with A. The change in y would be this measurement, the up and down, and it says it's plus 6. So I'm just going to put 6 over the change in x, and that's this movement here. And it says it's plus 4, so I'm going to write it as 4. Now, those of you guys that remember when you had Miss Ong or your 7th grade teacher, Miss Amador, they showed you guys how to reduce, right? So I'm going to reduce by 2, divide both of them by 2 because they're divisible by 2. So 6 divided by 2 gives me 3, and 4 divided by 2 gives me 2. This is my slope, okay? These two are equal to each other. They're equivalent, all right? They represent the same amount, it's just one is simplified. Now they want me to calculate the slope for triangle B. So B here says the change in y is plus 3, and the change in x, it's a plus 2. Now this one I can reduce because it's already in simplest forms. Questions asking you guys, what do you notice about triangle A and triangle B? And you should say they have the same slope. Okay? And the reason they have the same slope is because both of these points, all right, or both of these triangles, they are made or created by the same line. So any points you choose, as long as you set it up correctly, you should end up with the same slope. Okay? So these are known as slope triangles. Your change in y over your change in x. Guess what? Look at it. This is someone's work from last year. Okay? This is basically what we just did. All right? Now, the last question in box 4, this is a little bit challenging. It says, what is the vertical distance for triangle y? all right? Or change in y of slope triangle C. Explain your reasoning. So they're asking us for this measurement right here all the way down here, right? And I would say that is plus 4.5, all right? And the reason I'm saying it's 4.5 is because, let me erase this line. If you guys look closely, it's right in between 14 and 15, okay? And I can check it. The reason I'm able to check it is because I already know the horizontal, or the change in x, which is 3, right? And I can reduce both of them by 1.5. 1.5. That is going to give me 3 on top and 2 on the bottom. And that is the same slope of triangle A, and the same slope for triangle B, which we did in the previous slide. Okay, so again, this is just slope given a graph. We use what we call the slope triangles. All right, these are not the only triangles that you guys can use, just as a reference. All right, let me show you one outside. So for example, if I gave you a blank graph and it just has a line, no slope triangles, you guys get to choose your points. You guys get to choose whichever ones you want. So one thing that I want you guys to keep in mind is you're recommended to use lattice points. All right. Lattice points are points that are right on those gray grid lines, the gray grid lines. So for example, I'm just going to put random points. We'll name them A, B, C, D, and I'm going to ask which one is not a lattice point. Well, guess what? C is right on the gray lines, and let me use a different color so that you guys can see what I mean. C is on the gray line that is horizontal and vertical. Same thing with A, same thing with B, but D is only on a horizontal line. It doesn't have a vertical line. So therefore D is not a lattice point, okay? Keep that in mind. That's how you identify those lattice points. They're on those gray grid lines. Now, let me ask you, let's just say Mr. Franco didn't give you the slope triangles and you picked this lattice point, the one in green, and the second lattice point, the second one in green. You would draw your slope triangle. Oops. Right, that's my slope triangle. So all I would do is I will count the horizontal change, the vertical change first, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's a plus 9. And my horizontal change, so that was my vertical, sorry, now my horizontal, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that's a plus 6. That means that my slope for that green triangle would be 9 over 6. And I can simplify it by 3, simplify it by 3, and I end up still with 3 over 2. Same thing as the triangle C, same thing as triangle A and triangle B. Guess what? Any triangle that I create and I simplify it, I'm always going to get 3 over 2 because that's the slope of this line. All right. All right, last slide. So this is your homework. Just like always, you guys have homework on the left, notes on the right. If you did it the other way around, that's fine with me. Don't forget, for this time that I'm not online, you do have still online practice, but it's a Nearpod and it's titled Note 18 Independent Practice. All right. This one, those independent practice, honestly, it shouldn't take you no more than, I would say, anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes. Okay? This handout shouldn't take you no more than 5 to 10 minutes. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Again, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to message me through Schoology or email me to my email. And let me write my email on this slide. My email is luis.franco@lausd.net. You guys have any questions or any concerns, please email me. Just to give you guys a heads up, I am not going to be responding to messages or emails until the weekend. All right, so if you don't get a response, don't hesitate. More than likely I haven't gotten a chance to read it because I am expected to be in the hospital from January 11th through January 14th, maybe the 15th. Okay, so please wait till the weekend and I'll message you. You don't have to bombard me and say you're not responding, you're not responding. I won't. I'm letting you know ahead of time. I won't until the weekend. All right. Stay safe. Wear a mask. Hope to see you guys soon.